Welcome or welcome back. My name is Ruby.
And my name is Jeff. That was a dare, and I won that bet, and I won a kiss.
Mm. If you're not familiar, that's from
21 Jump
Jump
Street.
Street, I believe.
My name is Jeff.
Thank you for joining us for our second podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into part two of our journey of meeting, relationship, and engagement, but with an emphasis on the underlying theme of uncertainty, how it shows up in our life and in business, and just how we dance with this inevitable experience through life. So that being said,
How did how did we leave off last time?
that's a great starting point. Well, I think it was up until the point where we decided to go all in on making the move
To Portugal.
to Portugal.
Right here. We're in Portugal now. So you get to see, at least up to this point, how that manifested. But back then, it was completely up in the air. We weren't sure how it was going to happen. I would say one of the biggest leaps of faith, not only, well, in my life, not only because I'm used to, up to that point, taking risks, but for myself, it's another experience taking a risk when it's involved with another human being. For me, especially because I care so much about it working out for us, and I want us to have such a amazing, thriving life. And I felt like here in Portugal, especially in this magical area of Sintra, is the place to create that. And when I got on my knee in the forest, I didn't know what was the next steps for getting us here. I just knew that I wanted to do life with you and that I could trust you to join me in that dance. And then it was like very quickly that she was like, all right, we're engaged now, let's get married, let's get things rolling. I was like, wow, okay, we're doing this. I was like, I need to integrate this. But we did it. How was it for you when you were thinking next steps? Because at the time she lived in LA still. We'd been long distance. I lived here in Portugal. Ruby was in LA, and we'd go and visit each other. And we both considered the possibility of living in Portugal together. I wasn't super close to living in LA, but it definitely wanted to be Portugal for me. Like from the beginning, I wanted to live here. So it was up to you. Like it was, I would say the bigger leap of faith was on your end. Mm-hmm. How was that moment of, oh, we're doing this?
Well, from what I shared last time, it was like taking a close look at reality of things rather than, because I think in situations like this, our feelings and stories of past experiences, other people's experiences can like get in the mix and kind of cloud your own judgment and how we'll take the next step. So for me, it was like just looking at things very matter of fact. And the every in LA, a lot of while I did have some like a lot of in-person clients, like my income was all in person. Everything else kind of seemed like it was closing, like it was preparing me to make that step. But I do want to add to that, what you were saying of like the transition and it being really quickly. We're coming up actually, what, in like a less than
Less
a
than a
week,
week.
a few
4 days.
days of when we got engaged. A year from when we got engaged, you proposed. Tell us about that and the uncertainty and how that came about. And I'd also love to share my experience of that.
I knew that I wanted to do life with you, and I knew that part of what gave me the courage to go buy a ring is that we would be able to do it together, and we would be even better together than we were alone. Mm-hmm. And that's been a huge point for me, is the wisdom that I can thrive on my own self. I've done it. I've had success living by myself and enjoyed living by myself, gotten to know myself. And when we started dating and life became more rich and I saw a life partner before me, and that you being in my life made life that much better. Mm-hmm. I mean, there wasn't uncertainty in that. So, I mean, it wasn't uncertainty. It was the logistics that were the uncertainty.
Yeah.
But I knew that together we could do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Music to my ears. What I mean more specifically was the day of and that week. Like I was here visiting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. The day of, I got a ring.
When did you get the ring, by the
way? I got the ring at like a month before she came back over. I was in Portugal, she was in LA. We were doing back and forth, and it was her turn to come visit me in Portugal. And I've already been thinking about this since the beginning of 2024. And I was like, all right, she's coming. I'm going to get the ring, which is a surreal experience in of itself. And the way I like to operate is to let the magic of the universe support me. That's to say, I do pretty well with uncertainty in that way. I knew I wanted to get a ring. I knew that I wanted there to be some magic to that. So I was just feeling into that. And luck would have it, our landlady at the time knew a jeweler with a really good reputation, and I went and got the ring with butterflies in my stomach. I mean, the feeling of totally surreal for me going into a jewelry shop, which I've been in a jewelry shop like 3 times in my life with my mother when I was a child. So it brought up so much for me. So I got the ring, and I felt a lot of support. Like I just felt a lot of support energetically. And then I phoned up my friend who's a photographer here in Portugal. And I said, can you mark these dates? I'm going to do a proposal to Ruby. And she was super excited about it. We got this very special forest called Peninha in Sintra, which is forest and mountains, and it's incredibly, like, it's sacred and magical. So this is the best possible place to do it. Ruby comes over, and the first weekend she's here, we go to a retreat with a dear friend. We attend a retreat, we're participants, and it was such a wonderful community there, and it was such a wonderful vibe. In my mind, I'm like, is this where I need to propose? Is this? And she was thinking about it too. So she was totally in my head. Weren't you? You were thinking about it at that retreat?
I had a feeling like
you already knew it was coming.
Well, yes and no, because I remember early on from when we were dating, and in one of the times you came to visit me, I shared how I felt about like next steps in moving in either with you or like just us
being
together, because I had been thriving and living my own life independently, which wasn't the case. Like for so long I was so afraid to be alone. I didn't know how to be alone, and not just that, but like it was differentiating alone and enjoying my own company and like feelings of loneliness. And I had made a promise to myself when I moved into that place where I was living, which was that I was not going to move in with or like do house with anyone unless I was married. And that was based off previous experiences and things that I had done. So while also simultaneously being like, it's not fair to take my previous experience and like project it onto you, but also shame on me if I don't take the lessons. So I just shared that with you, and it felt really good and light. Like it wasn't, definitely didn't feel anything like ultimatum or anything like that. It was like in a passing heart to heart conversation. So yeah, I shared it and like I let that go. And as it's getting closer, I don't know, like I like to think I like surprises, but I'm also
Doesn't like
very
surprises.
I don't
No, fun fact. Does not like surprises.
I like
like
the
surprises.
idea of surprises. I like the idea of surprises, but I'm not very good at I'm
She
hard. Yeah, it's hard to surprise me because I don't know if it's
Well,
like
one, her
hypervigilance.
intuition. I mean,
Yeah.
you can practically read my mind half the time, or you know what's going on. So I knew that. I knew that. I was ready for that. I even had tempered my own every I think most men in this very potent, also like there's a cultural collective energy around proposal, what we've seen in the Disney movies, what we've seen growing up. It's romantic, like it has the possibility to be incredibly romantic, and it's also there's a initiation that we both are agreeing to be one now. I mean, I think the engagement is, to me, the engagement, getting on a knee and asking for your hand and to be life partners together, is more potent, as potent than the wedding ceremony. Like for me, that was even more powerful. And so we were at this retreat, and I was in my head just a little bit about, would this be an even better time? And I'm looking at the weather app, and I'm like, it's gonna be raining. Like I need good weather for my proposal. I was being picky, so there was some rigidity in what I wanted. I was feeling that, but just a little bit, because we were having a really good time together, and that retreat was really nourishing for both of us. And so we got home, and then I was like, all right, plans as usual. We're gonna go hike in the forest on this day. I was like, hey baby, do you have anything going on this Saturday? And she's like, no, what you want to do? I was like, we're gonna go hike in the forest. And I didn't say anything else. And it's like I already knew she was on to me. So I tempered my expectations. For me, it didn't have to be a surprise, but I felt like in some little way we both played the game.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I share a
Yeah,
little
go
bit?
ahead and share it.
So there's the retreat, and I was like, wow, like this might be when he does it. Because I can't remember what it was that you had somehow alluded or how I caught on. I really can't remember. But I was like, it's this trip, or like, I don't know when it's happening, or it'll happen. Because pretty much after that, it was, I'm here in March. April, you were gonna, I think, visit your dad for his birthday or something like that. And then it was May, and we're moving. Like we
So
had
you were doing the logistics in your head.
a little bit, yeah. And so I was like, okay, so maybe he does it at the end of this retreat. The retreat came and went and nothing. And then it was like coming closer to me flying out. Oh. And I didn't know. I wasn't
She
sure.
got back into the uncertainty.
I did. And I mean, the weather was like, it was windy.
Let me tell you this part.
Pouring. Okay.
So I'm looking at the weather app. I know that it's just going to be what it's going to be. Sometimes the weather in the forest here does its thing, and I'm still committed to making it happen, because, like she says, the time was ticking, and I wanted this to be special, but I also knew that it would be special regardless. So okay, that's a really cool point of view on uncertainty. Is to believe it's going to be special, is to believe like allow space for sprinkles of magic, allow space for co-creativity, allow space for magic. like to me, that's a mindset and a philosophy that allows me to do well, and I find grace in situations of uncertainty, especially when it's related to something beautiful like this, getting engaged. So anyway, let me bring it back to reality. It's raining. Ruby gets her starts her cycle that day. I'm like messaging the photographer, and she started her cycle, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not coming." She was honoring her body, and I mean, which was I was respecting that.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be the photographer. This is happening.
Mm.
And she said, "Are we still going to go for a hike?" And I was like, "Yep." And she was like, "Okay, I'll get ready." And at that point, I knew she knew, because under any other circumstance, she would have been like, "Nah, let's wait for a nicer day." But
Yeah, well, you were adamant on this hike.
Mm-hmm.
You were adamant on it, and I was like, okay. But the telltale sign for
I got
me,
dressed up a little bit.
and you said, wear something nice. And if anybody knows Jeff, like he does not, you don't care about like what you're like, wearing or how you look, right? Like, is that,
I care less
yeah,
about how I how what I'm wearing may or may not look to other people.
yeah. So he
But
said,
I knew that you would like to be wearing something nice if we were
I
gonna.
appreciate you looking
I was looking out.
out. And anyways, it was like we're going hiking and it's raining. Like my options, plus I'm traveling, were quite limited. And it was then that I knew that you were. I was like 90% sure you were about to propose. But the way that you did it was also still very, very a surprise. So I didn't know when you got the ring. I didn't know like when I mean, I didn't know when you were going to propose or any of that, but we had conversations and um,
I had visions. There was different locations for me, but it
it
was
was
in nature.
yeah, it was beautiful. Okay, so coming back to the way that like how you were saying the sprinkling and the like leaving room for magic or for God's hand to support you. And I'd love to add to that in moving through uncertainty is move in a way that what you are intending, hoping, wishing for, like it's gonna happen. Like, so to continue to move in that way, although I know it's easier said than done when there are other kinds of narratives happening. But it's a practice like anything else. So I think it was so magical because we were the pretty much the only ones in the forest, and we were climbing up these big rocks, and I often like to be recorded of like for content, and I said like take videos of me, and he said let me see, I want to take a video of you here, and he set up the camera while I was like climbing up these rocks, and then he comes up and
Ooh, I felt it then.
yeah.
I felt every cell in my body electric. I can feel that like it was like it just happened.
Mm.
Very surreal, very it's like the whole world just zoomed in on us. And I hadn't thought too much about what I was gonna say, but I know how to speak from my heart relatively well. And I spoke from my heart. I let myself speak from my heart to you. And then I got down on a knee and I gave her that ring. I asked her for her hand and for life companionship.
Do you remember what you said?
Vaguely.
It was something along the lines of like you had planned for someone.
Oh, I told you about the photographer.
I think, yeah. And the you said all of this represents how I would like for our union and to be, which is no matter the weather.
Yes, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
That bolstered me. That gave me more fortitude because I felt like if this weather is gonna interrupt our special day in that way that I had planned and she didn't know about, that doesn't track. So I realized that and I was like, this is perfect. This is symbolic. This is us choosing a life where we're gonna go for it.
Mm.
And we're gonna do our best to be our best and to leave nothing on the table. And that's the person I wanted. And if, in my opinion, for one to do that, you can't wait for the weather. You've got to live it. You've got to live life as it shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very inspiring for me that the weather was the way it was.
Yeah. I also didn't know about the photographer up until like after.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Well,
it was so beautiful. Like it was so us, like
mm-hmm.
in nature.
No place I'd rather be.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was beautiful. Would you like to bring us back a little bit back on track with your notes
Well, we were talking about uncertainty and
Mhm.
themes of uncertainty. And when we got engaged, we didn't know what the course of events was going to be. But long story short, within 6 weeks, I'm back in LA. Ruby has downsized her apartment down to 2 suitcases.
Oh my goodness. As much as I could.
Yeah, huge letting go for something new, which is a really great metaphor also. It's like letting go for something new, like create space for something new.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have so much respect for you being able to do that.
I received that.
Yeah.
I guess how did the conversations come up around like when we would get married or like we knew
it was a timing. It was a timing thing.
Because there was on the one hand there are people which by all means to anybody like take the time you need to take. There are people who are engaged for like
year and a half.
or like yeah. And I knew that I wanted my mom to be a part of it.
That's also a very healing part of the journey.
Yeah, big time. Which, if any of you would like to go deeper into that, we could definitely do a podcast on healing mother wounds and things like that. And father wounds too.
Yeah.
And you wanted your dad to be a part of it.
Yeah, I did.
As well.
So it worked out that it was gonna happen.
We did have some like
timeline stuff.
Yeah, but also back and forth on like how we wanted to celebrate, but then
it felt like a lot given that we were both living in different places and there was going to be a move involved to marshal our energies towards creating some big event. And it also doesn't appeal to us that much.
Mm-hmm.
Here
was the timeline, by the way.
Go for it.
You landed, I don't know, let's say like Monday or Tuesday. The following day, we go and submit our written, apply
for a wedding certificate.
Right. Or for the license. Yeah. However, that is.
License, yeah. Next
we
day.
go, and then I think we have 1 day break. And then your dad flies in and we pick him up. We pick him up. Was that the day of the wedding? No, we took him to his hotel. And then the next day we got married, and it was basically just the civil
union.
Yeah. At a small
chapel.
Yeah. And then the next day we had a yard sale again.
Didn't we do the yard sale before?
No, we did the yard sale Sunday.
Oh no, we were married when we did that yard sale.
Yeah. Okay, the following day we took it easy. Like we went to a movie and had breakfast with your dad, and then we came back to my place and continued packing. And then the next day we dropped your dad off at the airport. We finished packing my things. The following, oh no, we did another yard sale. The next day we went and sold my car.
That's right. Wow.
We had one night at my mom's house because now I'm officially all moved out from my place into 2 suitcases. And then we get on the plane the next morning. Like
That was epic.
and
Good
packed.
That was a year. That was well a little like a year and 4 or 5 weeks ago now.
Well,
5 weeks ago.
May.
Yeah, May 4th. May 4th. 3rd was when we got married.
Mhm.
We're
So
in the
we
end
got
of
engaged in
March.
March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Uncertainty.
Mhm.
Let's talk about just for a moment our like, what's the wisdom? What has supported us for somebody who's watching that's experiencing uncertainty in their life? What can we share? What can you share?
It's the only thing that's certain in this life. Uncertainty
Uncertainty.
is the only thing that's certain.
You want to elaborate?
I think it's inevitable. I think that we move and live and create a life in a way in which we feel control and like we think we know,
Huge.
but we really don't. I mean, that's like the moment you step out, like when you bring things like the elements of nature, like we were talking about for our things, and I love using or seeing hiking as a wonderful metaphor for uncertainty because you're just, it's just you and nature and your will and
It's
your
vulnerable.
mindset of
It's
like
vulnerable.
I'm going up this mountain and I'm coming back down, and there's so many things that can happen in that.
Well done. I want to tell them about the recent trip
Go on.
to France and about our hike.
Okay.
Speaking of nature testing us and inviting us into deeper levels of embodiment of being in uncertainty. Uncertainty is a place to be. It's either I am rigid and trying to control and I know how that feels. Do you know how that feels to be swimming upstream and it feels hard because there's like this control. I want things to be figured out. My ego has done that before, but also I realize that that's how my ego gets like destroyed. It's super unpleasant. So my ego has decided to be in the passenger seat sometimes, and that's where I say that ego is like the part of me that wants to control. In the passenger seat, allow. Allow is a really special word for me in terms of when it seems like there's something up. My endeavors are having outcomes that are unexpected. It's like, all right, mystery time, let's go. You with me? Mystery time, allow things to unfold. So we went to France, a couple of weekends ago. My first time stepping into France in over 10 years, where I used to study before my yoga journey. I used to study there, and it was actually the place that I said it was a huge leap. I was like, I'm gonna step away from engineering and dive into the world of wellness and personal development. And that was a huge leap of faith for me. And I had no idea. I was following my heart. And so this invitation to go back to France and to a place that I had not been before to share one of my favorite teachers and mentors with. So we did a training together. We attended a training together. It was really special. Immediately tested as soon as we got off the plane.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'll leave. We'll just leave that as it was. Like tested as soon as we got off the plane. And then on Friday, the day before we started our training, we had one day to explore Marseille, France. And there was a big, beautiful national park called Calanque National Park, Calanque. And there was a huge, beautiful viewpoint. And it was halfway through the day, I was like, all right, we want to go and explore this nature. Let's make it happen. And I get up on my All Trails app on the way there, and I find a 2.5 mile loop. And it's getting to that time of day where it's like I know I need to be thinking about dinner afterwards, or just like what's next. That was me trying to control,
Mm.
and also I know how being prepared for what's next, only to be blown to bits. We start walking from the tram stop or the bus stop, and initially I was using Google, but then I go to All Trails because I had this gut instinct. You know how that goes? And she's like, I don't know, maybe we could just stick to the Google one. But I was like, I want to do the All Trail. So I found a 2.5 mile loop, and I thinking this is gonna be simple. I'm gonna get my nature fix. We're gonna spend some time in this place before we go spend most of the time inside for a studio training. And we start walking. And then we keep walking and we keep going and it keeps going up. And then Ruby starts asking me, are we going to go all the way up to the top of the mountain? I'm like, no way. Like, there's no way that we're going to get up to the top of the mountains here in a 2.5 mile loop.
Yeah. And then
And then,
we went to the very top.
how was that for you? Because that was really your journey. Like, that was a big journey for you.
Yeah.
For me, it was cool.
So before that, I had just received the news from one of my clients that they would pause their
What client, like in what capacity? What client? Like what was the work you were doing?
stretching client, a virtual stretching client, and we would meet twice a week or 3 times a week.
Twice a week.
Twice a week, and yeah, they just said they want to take a break, and so then I went into I'm now in uncertainty with income, or like that specific income or business in that part of my business, and I was really feeling it. Like I was wanting to control that, and rather than just taking it as an invitation to be in the unknown, to be in this place of absolutely nothing where I can create, I was suffering. I was creating my own suffering because I was creating stories or meanings out of a simple, like, I'm gonna pause. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was already feeling that. And I expressed that to you before we went on the hike. And so I was like a little bit already in a place to be invited to go and process on this hike. And when we went to go hike, I was under the impression that we were going to go to a beautiful like viewpoint that would potentially involve some hiking.
Yeah.
And mostly and have a nice dinner and explore like the town there and whatnot. And I realized that, like, I remember in LA, like, I was like, oh, yeah, we can do a view. Like, you can drive up to viewpoints. You can also hike, but you can drive up to really cool, like, lookout viewpoints.
Good old America.
Yeah.
You can drive up to it.
We didn't even rent a car. We were using public transport there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was dressed up not for hiking.
Not for a 2.5 mile trek up.
Yeah.
Mountains.
I was wearing white shoes, white sneakers.
So you were processing this information about your business, and also in the like the bigger context or of you moving to Portugal, leaving your in-person clients and coming over here and giving it all you got to create online. Mm-hmm. And so you have some online clients, and one of them decides to pause for now. Mm-hmm. And it happens to every entrepreneur that like attests. Or anybody who's doing something that they're really up to their highest calling, I feel it gets tested and has these moments of reckoning, and it started to pour down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about like, if you can't do well with uncertainty, I do not recommend being an entrepreneur. Like, point blank. There's not like a certain paycheck. You're like, unless you build systems and funnels and like all of that, which we're working on that. But even then, like
You don't know.
you don't know. So we're on this hike or we're walking and I was enjoying it, but then by the time when you diverted, that was like, and that was me in my like control.
We hadn't even made it to the hike yet when I diverted. When
We were
I
walking
then
uphill.
chose the hike.
We were walking
She
uphill.
operates under the assumption that I know what that I know what I'm doing often. And I'm like her medicine in that like Jeff sure does act like he knows what he's doing, but if you ask him, he's winging it. He's going with the flow.
Yeah. So we're hiking, and thankfully you brought snacks.
Yeah, thank God.
And you're like, we're just gonna go do this too. Mind you, we've already ran in the morning.
Yeah,
Got
we
some
did an
movement.
awesome tour of Marseille.
So we started running, I mean hiking, and I'm thinking like, man, I really miss hiking, and I'm like, I want more of this because in LA I had my hikes that there were specific mountains that I would really feel called to, especially when I was processing something or going through something or in the unknown, that if I felt that call or that pull, I know that if I showed up to that mountain, that by the time I got back to my car, I just would have a whole new perspective. I would feel this like weight off of me, and it's really beautiful and powerful medicine for me. And while I have and we have hiked here, and at some points I have like a more consistent. It's been raining, and I also haven't made it a priority or an effort for me to be like, this is my mountain. Nor have I felt that connection where it's like this place calls me. So I was thinking that, and we're hiking and we keep going higher, and it's starting the weather is starting to change, and I'm asking constantly
like 5 times in 15 minutes constantly.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 5 times in 30 minutes.
And I said, what was I asking?
Are we going all the way up to the top? Are we going all the way up to the top? How far have we gone? And I checked we've gone 0.6 miles. We're about 30, 40 minutes in. And then I'm like, okay, so just my side of it, I picked this thinking it was going to be a cakewalk. We'll be done. We'll go dinner. I wanted something easy to go into nature, so I wasn't like looking for the most intense hike, but I love an adventure. And as we started going and going up more, I started to doubt what I had gotten ourselves into, because shortly later we were scaling a mountain on all fours on hands and knees, and I said, "Well, I guess we are going to go up all the way." And she's also at the zenith, the top of your process, your not melt breakdown to breakthrough is
Yeah.
a great way of saying that.
Yeah.
And I was there, like I was just watching it all happen through, like for her or her experience.
You held space really well. My experience essentially was, there's a part of me that's wanting more of this because I know how powerful and beautiful this medicine is, while there's this other part of me that's watching me have this like suffering kind of like experience. The views of this place, if you ever get a chance to go to Marseille, France, please do yourself a favor and go hike, but also, well, yeah. But also like properly prepare and know what you're getting yourself into. Not that like okay, so here's what I was experiencing. My mind was like, my shoes are getting dirty. Uh and then the other part, like the more kind of like logical part, was like, you can just put your shoes in the wash. Like,
right.
Not that big a deal. So it was very interesting to see like the different parts, but there was just a part of me that just felt like a lot of energy of I guess maybe it was realizing like again like how little control I have of things, and it starts like sprinkling, it gets really windy. I don't know, like and it wasn't ever something like where I was questioning my safety. Like I knew we weren't lost, like you had this map thing.
Could also see the city.
You could see the city. At one point toward after I had my breakthrough, I did get a little bit scared, like crap, are we ever gonna get off this mountain?
Yeah, I remember that spot.
Um, yeah, so it just was like allowing, so you were offering me snacks but it was just, it wasn't anything to do with like me being hungry. It was just this experience that I needed to feel. And I think that when we're to bring it back to the uncertainty, it's really, we often hear this, you got to feel it to heal it. And I think that some people get scared by the uncertainty of like, what is it? Feel it to heal it. Maybe they've heard other people's experiences of like going deep, or maybe you yourself have had experiences where like you really feel like you're feeling everything. And maybe there have been moments, I know for me, where I couldn't maybe get myself out of that. Like I would let myself spiral in the past. But what I mean, feel it to heal it, is like feel the sensations. Like you don't even have to have really the it does help to like
reframe and everything.
Yeah. But okay, I was feeling really hot. I was feeling a lot of like head pressure. And because now I know like what emotions trigger certain sensations in my bodies, I was like, okay, so this is what I'm feeling. And at one point I just said, like, can we just sit here? And I sat there and just was with this whole experience, and I let myself feel it. And there's science on this, like an emotion, if you ride it, if you ride the sensation of that, it doesn't last longer than like 10 to 15 minutes. I think it's what it is.
Yeah, the most.
Yeah. So I had that moment, and you
Seconds.
just, yeah, and I just was with myself and was really grateful that, you held the space. And maybe you can share like on what it was like on your end.
Yeah, my like I'd say small mind or ego mind was having its own journey of feeling guilt or feeling some fault for choosing this and not communicating properly what we were getting into, because I saw her experience, and it's hard for me to not take that on, but that was my practice of allowing her to be in her experience while still having my own experience, which was just awesome because this was an epic hike. It was so good, like top
The views
10.
each time we kept getting higher.
Yeah.
Were
Oh,
spectacular.
spectacular.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
You said something to me a couple of times, like you never apologized.
No.
And
no,
and I think that this is
feel like
important.
that. Yeah.
And yeah, you didn't need to. There was
Yeah.
really nothing to be sorry about. I think this is really important in the uncertainty, in something we've been practicing a lot, in the taking 100% responsibility. So each. So there's 200% responsibility in the whole. Yeah. So through my whole experience of that, and you can confirm or deny, like it was never like, Jeff got me into this, or like it was never that. It was more of like, okay, I'm facing uncertainty, or like,
Mm-hmm.
so I just was having my own process, and I could see that my experience before this was like a very visceral way of processing all of what I have been kind of experiencing internally.
Mm.
So you said, I really hope that it was, I can't remember verbatim what you said, but it was along the lines of like, I really hope there's a part of you that could see the beauty of this hike,
Yeah.
or of this experience.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that really, it really hit home for me, because it's like, okay, like I was saying earlier, on the one hand, I'm like, I'm saying I want more of this. Here I am having this experience, and I'm not letting myself fully have it.
Blocking your blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you were able to receive that. It came from my heart because I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I saw you, I mean, I was aware that you were in a process and it was a prayer for you. I mean, that's what it was, is for you to receive it. And, just as she's saying, the process of feeling to heal, feeling to process itself, emotion and energy, the way I've found myself approaching this in life is to let myself have the experience, and there's this understanding, an awareness that's been cultivated of mindful practice, meditation, to see that little voice that's creating extra stories and making wrongness about the situation. How like what's wrong about the situation, and my ability to be aware of that voice, and then knowing what to do when I meet that voice of saying, all right, there it is. Let me fully have this experience. And what you were talking about, feeling it, like to sit and be with the energy. And I've created the story, and I live by the story or the mindset of, present moment rules. If I'm here, this is exactly where I should be. If I'm experiencing this, this is exactly what I need to be experiencing. So let me have it. Like I give myself permission to be in the process. Mm-hmm. And like of course there's the mind that jumps in and interferes to get, like the controller that jumps in, and then there's the part of me that wants to be in the practice. Mm-hmm. So I was also having my own journey of holding space for your uncertainty. And that's profound. Like what we do as a couple, holding space for each other, as this is part of our profession, holding space, is really powerful, that we can support each other and continue healing. And we want to demonstrate, we want to embody that so that we get the benefit of that. We want to share it with others. We want people to see us doing that, because the world is a better place, a more healed and whole place, when we're able to hold space for ourselves and for each other, so that it's not about tearing something down, it's about building something up. And that's the difference of attitude. It's a difference of where's my focus going. And the moment on that hike that I realized that you were in responsibility for your process, then I could really hold space for you.
Like, when was that moment?
That's a good question. I would say it was like the third turn, only to see a vertical rock face. And you kept going because she kept asking me, and I was like, I didn't ask for this trail to be like this. So let's keep going, because this is the way through. That's another one. Like
the only way out is
through. Yeah. The only way out is in or through the experience.
And the uncertainty.
Yeah, and the uncertainty itself. So yeah, we did that thing. We got up to, I mean, the wind
Did it
was...
have been a moment where after we sat down and we kept walking for a bit, and I said to you, I don't remember exactly, but it was along the lines of, I think I said, I literally feel like I just had an ego death.
Yeah, it was when you said that. I was like, you're in it. Good for you. It's like, you do it. I was your cheerleader for sure at that point.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
I love that you did that. And it was really inspiring. So yeah, we got through that. And we did have one moment where even I was like, WTF, how the trail markers changed to forest green, which was interesting to find that on rocks. But we got through it, we got down, and her prize at the end of the day was to choose dinner, where we got dinner.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
Yes. So I just want to close that chapter because of how much nature, I want to bring the focal point to nature and honor nature for how it can be such a profound mirror for us. And if we're willing to see and let that process unfold, like it's transformational. Mm-hmm. It's very transformational.
Would you say that if anyone is ever feeling uncertain, that they should go out into nature?
Highly recommend. Mm-hmm. It's free too.
Yeah.
It's free. Yeah.
Beautiful. You have some questions?
Yeah. So on that note, we had a few questions from the last video. Thanks for staying with us up to this point. About our time, about our life here in Portugal. How is life in Portugal? How are we connecting in with community? Which from our dear friend James. Shout out to you, James. Would you like to share how's Portugal? How's our daily life in Portugal is the question.
Um, Daily life in Portugal is magical. It's much slower pace than
Coming from LA.
coming from LA. And while I still feel like I'm finding my routine, I think that we have a certain kind of rituals and practices like our daily walks that we absolutely love. And also we just moved to this place and have
Less than 2
recently
months
been
ago.
within the last few days been navigating like our roof situation and leaking. So it's
After a hurricane.
like a hurricane, right? I
Yeah,
don't know if it
yeah.
was but yeah, so it's like, again, coming back to the uncertainty. So having these mindful micro moments throughout our days, there's a lot of that. Movement,
We're
time
both
in
we're
nature.
both really focused on work.
Yeah, super. And then what was the other part, or would you like to share daily
Yeah,
life?
well, I've built a lifestyle that it just is now. It's me choosing the activities that support me because I know that then when it comes time to be of service, whether it be in my coaching business or trainings or creating online, that I want my life experience to be in reciprocity. I want my life experience to be like creative in that way. What's the word I'm looking for? Um, Synergistic. That's the word. So yeah, like she was saying, like for me, it's a morning practice. It's taking care of me, getting and then how I work, which is a big thing for us. Like we're basically, uh, for the most part, focusing on our online businesses. For me, it's coaching and membership space for wellness practitioners. It's finding the organization within the chaos of that. It's continued learning, and Ruby's been really, really instrumental in helping me get even more structured and savvy for my online business while doing all the same for herself. And like we're here, we're recording this podcast, we're creating content together.
And you helped me in the movement part, even though I know how important movement and is and was obviously had my own practice before, but when I get into something, like I could be quite, I don't know, some people might call it stubborn, other people might call it like passionate or like these kind of like hyper focused addictive tendencies where it's like I will sit
4 hours later
at my computer and like make something happen. And I'm actually really happy to say that I haven't seen those patterns as much in the last 3 months. And Portugal has helped me. Portugal being here with you has really helped me because if I'm by myself at home, like and no kids and like not somebody to like physically maybe interact with, then like easy for me to do that. And to anybody who has that, like it's such a gift. I think it's such a gift that also needs to be nurtured and like properly channeled. So I'm really grateful in that you helped me get in more steps and movement.
And walking is one of the most is like my favorite pastime. I love to run. We were training to do a trail run in Finland, and while I love to run, walking is does so much good for my nervous system. So we have a daily walk after dinner, maybe even during the day, even when the weather is quite intense lately. We're trying to get outside because again, it's coming back to that nature medicine. And the other part of that question was connecting it with community. And we're coming out of winter. Like we've definitely felt that winter energy. In Portugal, I feel like it's so much more tuned in with the seasons than other cities. We're in Sintra. We're not even in Lisbon. We're in the countryside where there is a lot of nature and there's a lot of people that want to be in nature and more connected with the the energetic rhythms of that. So we're coming into some time where connection is becoming more imminent with our community. We're really close with our new neighbors who wait, turned out I knew them before we moved here. And we do events like Ruby when she got here, really good about making the intention to get out and connect. I would love for you to share about that because that for me that's my natural disposition, but I got here and I was focusing on doing work things and I had big energy expenditure like events that I would go to facilitate a training or co-facilitate somebody else's program. So I already have these big to me, I can say like energy investments that are involved in community.
Social.
Yeah, that I feel a lot there. And then I also we both have this tendency to be hermetic. Like we really like to be in the home. But you when you got here, you inspired me because you were like connecting, networking.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And you inspire me in that way too, because yeah, friendships, which again can be a whole podcast for friendships and community, a whole podcast in it of itself. But making the move, I knew that I needed to build some kind of community, and it was within a month of me moving here that I heard. But it was in being in circles with you, where there was singing circles and things like that, getting to connect with other people here, that there was somebody who mentioned International Women of Portugal. So I had applied to that. And while they are all mostly women who are retired, they are who, that's like one of the first kind of community things that is one of the first community things I joined here, besides joining your circles. And that just started to open my eyes to a lot and the way that I approach life. But they hike, and so that's the group that I would join weekly until it started raining or heavily. They still hike, but I have not come to terms with that yet myself. As you figured from
Whatever
my
the weather.
story. Yeah. And then the other part was just like tuning into like when right now I really feel like I'm in this more hermit season where I'm just wanting to keep to myself. I do FaceTime with I mean, the question was local. So, I mean, even going to, when we go out to eat
Favorite
places, like
restaurants. It's
we talk to
community.
people,
Yeah.
like I mean, I made a really good friend at a pizza shop, like, and there's different places where you can go and sit and eat and co-work. And I just go up to people. Like I remember one time we were at this, I mean, I was at grocery shopping. Was one of the more recent connections. And I saw a group of women, because it's a grocery store slash also co-working, and you can also sit and eat there. And I saw a group of women working there, and I really like, they looked so focused, and there was several of them, and it was like in the middle of the day, and I thought like, how cool, and I want to be a part of that. And I was paying, and I was like, oh, I really want to know what they're doing. And I was kind of battling this like, will I be weird, like
discomfort,
uncertainty. Yeah. And I was like, screw it. Like,
what have I got to lose?
Yeah. And I just
got to gain.
Yeah. I wanted to share that because you're really good at that reframe of like, what's right about this that I'm not getting, instead of what's wrong with this. And anyway, so I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go ask. So I paid for my things, and I said, like, I just said, hi, my name is Ruby, and like, I'm so curious, what are you ladies doing, and can I be a part? And they just said that they're a group of entrepreneurs, and yeah, I think just putting yourself out there. I've looked up things on Eventbrite. You've shared Meetup. I haven't really been too deep into Meetup, but knowing when you're in a season of connecting and then also like being able to balance that out. I know for me, it takes me a little bit more effort to get out of my comfort zone in this season because I think that sometimes people who like know me are like, oh, you're such a social butterfly. Like, of course you ask them. But then if you like know me day to day, I'm just like, my comfort is like home body right now in this season of my life.
Mhm.
So I hope that answers your question. Get out there, look for like if you know you're in the season, like ask.
I want to add that Portugal is a really special place for community. I know that a lot of people that have come here from other countries have, like me, have felt this this energy of appreciation for the land, appreciation for a certain lifestyle that is beneficial towards wellness, that is connecting with nature, connecting with well-being. So there's a lot of that, and I made friends with that by events that I have offered, connecting with people here, be it locals or people that are international. And we love, like, community is it does like there's also this other idea that community, at least I've seen it myself, witness it, that it has to be something, some kind of way for it to be a community. But like the second we have somebody over, it's community. And like
Mm.
the moment a friendship is created based on mutual interests, it's community. Like, for example, when Nicole, your friend, our friend, invited us to Ericeira to go and help her friends and her like the community she's connecting in with their eco farm. And we went there and had a wonderful barbecue. I've got another friend who's got a space also near Ericeira that is contrast therapy, so I'll go there. I also feel like, there is the time for when, as a person who's doing this for a living, I want to create more community here myself. But I also feel like we're doing that with Soul Bloom, with what we started last year, inviting people into our space, but also into our life for a very, like, a powerful personal transformational retreat experience, to experience, the healing that we've created for ourselves, both as coaches and facilitators and healers, but also what Portugal, especially Sintra, like where we are, can provide in terms of nature, in terms of space, in terms of slowness. So I've enjoyed. I just want to share about that Soul Bloom because we're doing that later this spring and into summer. And that was a really special treat that we got into last year. And that felt like community too. It felt like sharing the land, which is really special.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks. It's an ongoing journey, the community
Definitely.
question. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
sticking with us. Thank you for submitting questions and interacting with this page. If you're ever feeling uncertain, know that you are not alone and that you are
totally.
definitely in the right place to create something so beautiful.
It's sacred.
Yeah.
Sacred uncertainty.
If you want, okay, and if you're not in a place of uncertainty right now and you're like, I've got it together all the time or something like that, and you are like, I want to be better with change. I want some change in my life. I would invite you to start with little things, even as simple as like, if let's say if you drive to work, take a different way there or a different way back. Like they're like small, controllable little changes that you can disrupt your kind of like monotonous, like how do you say it?
Routine, like monotony.
Yeah.
Pattern.
Yeah, and create space for that uncertainty because, like I said, so much beauty and magic lies there.
Yeah, I would also say notice the energy of trying to control things and have them your way. Like,
it's so exhausting.
It's exhausting. Like the moment that there is an awareness of what that energy is like, and that I have a choice, like I can choose something different, it becomes a no-brainer. How can I dance with this? How can I choose something different? how can I just surrender? Like that to me is then the doorway to surrender. And it makes me think of the serenity prayer.
Hmm.
God grant me. You know it off the top of your head?
I know part of it, and most people know part of it, but it's actually
It's much
really,
longer.
yeah. But it's grant me the grace,
Grant me the wisdom to,
no, to know the difference. So there's
yeah,
two
grant me the
before.
wisdom to the
Grant
serenity prayer.
grant that's gonna bug me because I have it
Yeah.
written down in my journal. Grant me the grace to, I think, handle change or
It's to let go of the things I can't control,
let go of the
to
things
do to manage the things that are in my power, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two.
And it goes on.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
keeps going. All
Next
right.
time we'll have it for you. But anyways, we would love to know, how do you navigate uncertainty? We shared some ways in which we dance with this, but we would love to know. Maybe for you, it's like literally dancing as a way to channel uncertainty or help you navigate and process this phase. And you can let us know in the comments below. Thank you for sticking with us. If you liked it and if you received anything, we would love for you to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe for more podcasts and classes to help you integrate this amazing life and future that you are creating.